Welcome to Evo Genesis. Today we're going to be talking about Import Tuner Challenge for the Xbox 360. Now this is actually a sequel to Shotoku Battle 01, which was Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 here. There will be spoilers in this video, so you've been warned if you're worried about spoilers in a racing game, but this does have more story than any other games in the series, so once again, you've been warned. Let's get on with the review! Import Tuner Challenge was first released in Japan for the Xbox 360 on July 27, 2006 as Shotoku Battle X or 10, I'm not quite sure which one it is. Next released in North America on September 26, 2006, then released in Australia on October 5th, followed by a release in PAL territories on October 6, 2006. Import Tuner Challenge was published by Ubisoft, which is why the game isn't using the Tokyo Extreme Racer title. Previous releases under that title were published by Crave Entertainment. All of the Shotoku Battle games were developed by Genki. This is the final console release in the series. I couldn't find any information about the title licensing the Import Tuner name from Import Tuner Magazine. The font is different, and Import Tuner Magazine starts with a lowercase I. Honestly, the title doesn't make much sense, since you can only select Japanese cars and it takes place in Tokyo. The title itself is awful in my opinion. In the already oversaturated street racing game genre, there were games like Street Racing Syndicate, Juice, the Midnight Club series, and the Need for Speed Underground games. Then there's Import Tuner Challenge. I remember walking past it when it was new, thinking it was an awful title. A few years later, I learned that it was a new Tokyo Extreme Racer. Import Tuner Challenge features 5 modes of play: Quest Mode, Time Attack, Free Run, Split Screen Versus Mode, and Xbox Live Races. That last one isn't playable anymore though. Time Attack lets you tackle courses on the highway to get the best time. Free Run, you get to hit the streets and just drive freely. Split Screen Versus Mode is just that, battle and split screen. Xbox Live Races are no longer available. Quest Mode this time around actually has a story with characters. King Speed has disappeared, and everyone is trying to be the top racer in the metro. We're then given some cash to buy our starter car. Car selection in this game is the weakest by far compared to earlier entries in the series, going all the way back to the Sega Dreamcast. Cars are licensed now, but there really aren't that many, so you're going to be racing a lot of the same cars. Now Quest Mode has a few new additions, but first I'll go over how Quest Mode works. You have your garage, which acts as your home base. Here's where you can modify your ride, change car settings, and buy new vehicles. Selecting the map lets you choose between night, midnight, and daybreak. Each of these have different rivals. Now choose which part of the highway you want to race on. Races are initiated by pulling up behind a car with a rival arrow above it and flashing your high beams. SP bars appear at the top of the screen. It works kind of like a fighting game. Bars go down when a car is behind, but can also go down from hitting walls or other cars. Even if you're in the lead, you can still lose a race. Gameplay is definitely an arcade racer, very easy to get the hang of. You'll be power sliding and drifting around corners before you know it. The minimap on the left side of the screen shows the rivals around you. Blue are rivals you haven't raced yet. Green are racers you've already defeated. And purple are rivals that have defeated you or you've had a draw race with. A big new addition to Import Tuner are parking areas. You can talk to NPCs here. Some are rivals you've defeated talking smack. Some have information on racing teams or wanderers. You can also challenge rivals standing by their cars.
It's not how you stand by your car, it's how you race your car.
There are also point A to point B races. These races are okay, but later in the game you're just so fast that you leave everyone in the dust.
Don't say it. Don't you say it.
On your left.
Come on!
Some of these are really long too. There were a couple that were almost 10 miles. I get it, they were trying to add something new, but these really break up the fun addictive races that this game series is known for. Another new type of battle are the multi-car races. These don't happen often. Sometimes they happen when you're about to win a solo race. From there, the rival's SP is filled back up, and the race begins with 2 to 3 cars battling you at the same time. Racing teams are your main rivals. Rolling Guy makes its return. They're kind of like the Dragon Quest Slime of the Shotoku Battle series. Anyway, they still all drive 8.6s, which are one of the very few unique vehicles in this game. After defeating all the members of a team, the leader will appear and challenge you, or challenge them if you're in a parking area. Rolling Guy number 1 is the team leader of Rolling Guy that has a custom 8.6. After beating him, if you buy his car, you can use it to race Rolling Master, who's a wanderer. I'll get to them soon. After defeating enough rivals, you'll be challenged by one of the area bosses. Some of these special rivals are also in a team themselves. After defeating certain bosses, you get some story. Every time a new group of bosses show up, a cutscene will play, showing off all their custom cars. Now before I talk about the Wanderers, I want to get to the cars. As I said earlier, there isn't exactly a huge selection of cars. However, that doesn't mean there aren't any awesome vehicles. I started quest mode with an S15 Nissan Silvia. From there I moved on to the R34 Nissan Skyline GTR V-Spec 2. The Skyline is an absolute beast in this game. Speaking of the Skyline, the R33 is oddly absent, as are cars like the FC RX-7. All manufacturers in the game are Japanese, so no Porsche or Dodge in import tuner. So I couldn't make Hulk Hogan's Dodge Viper this time. It's okay. What you gonna do, brother? What is here are some of Japan's top cars, such as the Toyota Supra, Mazda RX-7, the Subaru WRX STI, and more. Car customization is great. A huge selection of licensed and unlicensed body kits, and wheels from some of the top names in wheel manufacturers. If you like, you can add vinyl and neon lights on your car. When it comes to tuning your car, Import Tuner doesn't disappoint. Plenty of engine tunes, suspension upgrades, and body reinforcement and lightening. Settings are still important. Gear ratio adjustment is needed to hit top speeds. Suspension sets you more to grip or drift. Suspension settings can also affect your top speed. Just read what it tells you when adjusting and you'll be fine. Nitrous isn't new to the series, but I'm glad it's something returning. Nitrous is almost always fun to use in arcade racers. Now on to the Wanderers. All of these rivals have specific requirements in order to race them. Some are easier to meet their requirement. One all I had to do was turn off the music and he was ready to race. There was one that required a new RX-8 to race. Mileage had to be low in order for him to accept my challenge. One Wanderer would only race if I learned he existed. In order to do this, you have to speak to NPCs in parking areas. Apparently he crashed and died in a race, and he's still racing on the highway. He has a ghostly aura. I smoked him. Quite a few require you to buy a car. Money is pretty tight throughout most of the game. Upgrades are extremely expensive. If you want to race all of them, spend your money wisely. I'd recommend using a guide. I had to use one myself. Now why would you want to race all these Wanderers, you ask? Well, in order to race Unknown, the game's true final boss. Unknown is still based on the Devil Z from Wanga Midnight. This is the best race in the game. Unknown is crazy fast in his S30Z. He's not an idiot like he was in Tokyo Extreme Racer 0. Once I was able to pass him, I had to keep blocking him off. He was so fast that he was right behind me until the end, meaning his SP bar was depleting extremely slowly. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I took a turn extremely fast and Unknown wasn't in my rearview mirror anymore. This time I felt satisfied with the final boss. After defeating Unknown, I bought his Z and did a few races in it. If you take a turn too fast in the Z, two wheels actually lift because the car is so light and powerful. A quick note on custom cars, you can't change anything about them. No upgrades or changing settings. You can't even change the color. Speaking of custom cars, what is this thing supposed to be? Iron Man's WRX maybe? Now as I said, Unknown is the true final boss. There is however Snake Eyes, leader of the Phantom 9. When you defeat him, the credits roll. Afterwards, you're back in your garage with more rivals to race. The long-awaited battle with King Speed is in this part of the game as well. I also consider him a final boss since a lot of the story revolves around King Speed. He's a joke. I flew past him and left him behind. They even give you this whole cutscene to hype him up and then he just loses. After you defeat Unknown, you get to keep your garage. I didn't play around with this too much, just race some rolling guys in the Z. Import Tuner Challenge adds new parts of the highway to race on. Shibuya and Shinjuku are unlockable after defeating a couple bosses. The Wangan is oddly absent. In previous entries, the Wangan was where all the high-speed battles took place. Considering Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 had 3 different cities to race in, Import Tuner is much smaller. Graphically, Import Tuner Challenge is definitely an upgrade. Cars look great, and the city streets are better looking than ever. Tokyo itself looks good too. There is, however, quite a bit of slowdown when 4 cars are on screen at the same time. Poppin' was an issue a few times as well. I didn't capture it, but there were a couple points that the streets disappeared, once in the middle of a race. A minor gripe I have is with the replays going black and white. I use the feature much less because of this. The music isn't anything special. It's okay for the game, but I really didn't care for it. Here's something, the credits don't have anyone who actually made the game. It just says developed by Genki. Overall, I had fun with Import Tuner Challenge. It's not the best in the series, but it's not bad either. If you're a fan of the Tokyo Extreme Racer series, it's definitely worth playing. If you're looking to start playing the series, probably best not to start here. Tokyo Extreme Racer 2, 0, and 3 are much better games. So, do you have any memories of Import Tuner Challenge? If you do, please leave them down in the comments. Once again, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe, like if you liked it. Peace!